Okay. Yeah, great to see so many faces. I see some familiar faces, some are new. It's great to see. Again, welcome everyone. It's great to have you here. Now, before we start, and because a lot of people in school have been asking, we have our next big mastermind event on April 11 and 12. And this time we will be in London. So if you want more information, I will share a link in the Zoom chat and in the YouTube live stream chat. For the people who are watching the recording, you can find the link in the description. So what we're doing today may be the single most important action you take for your publishing business this year. And the reason is simple. If you don't have a clear aim, then how can you expect to reach a place you haven't defined? A pilot needs a destination, a surgeon needs a plan, and as publishers, we need clearly defined targets that we are building systems towards. And a lot of people, they dream, but they never translate that dream into a concrete plan. And a dream without a plan stays a wish. Now, this is not a workshop to watch passively. This is a workshop to participate in. So if you do this properly, you will walk away with a written plan you can revisit at the end of 2026 and clearly see how far you've come. And more importantly, you will have created something tangible, a clear roadmap that tells you exactly what actions to take on a monthly, weekly, and even daily basis. So you're never wasting time or wondering if what you're doing is what you actually should be doing. Andre, you attended this goal-setting workshop last year. Can you briefly share the impact it had on your 2025?
Yes, of course. It was really amazing last year because it's way easier if you have not only a set of goals, but also a reason behind every goal and just a structured list of everything, why you want to achieve it, how you can achieve it, what are the steps that it takes to reach it in the end. So that was really amazing. And what I wrote down of my big overarching business goal for KDP was $100,000 in 1 month and 60,000 in net profit. And this year I reached $123,000 in 1 month and 68 something in profit. So I not only achieved the goal but also surpassed it. So that was a great success, and I look forward to this year. Look forward to the goal I will set this year, and then of course I also look forward to end of this year to look back if I also achieve this year's goal. That would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be great. Perhaps we can hear the goal later, what you set. Okay, research shows that people who write down their goals, they are 42% more likely to achieve them. So that makes this exercise worth doing properly. So grab a pen and paper or open a document on your computer, write things down, save it, because you will come back to it. Before setting goals for 2026, we analyzed the previous year, not to judge ourselves, but to identify patterns. Patterns either pull you up or they pull you down. So your job is simple: do more of what worked and do less of what did not work. So what worked well? What types of books? For example, books in specific niches or specific formats such as medium content or high content. What marketing methods? For example, Amazon video ads, social media or Facebook ads. And what systems? For example, AI workflows, freelancer checklists, or a clean Dropbox setup. Create a stop doing list. So what work was a waste of time, for example, Pinterest marketing or cold emails to random people, and what is not worth your time anymore. So for example, spending time in places where you're not appreciated or where your energy is drained. Imagine if you could simply stop wasting time on this and instead put that towards growing your publishing business. Where could you be at the end of the year if you committed to that? Be specific and honest. Focus on what is within your control. Take 15 minutes and write this down in your document, workbook, or on paper. And if you're watching the replay, pause the video and take your time writing this down. Okay, let's continue. Next, we want to create a 5-year vision because it will function as a North Star for your goals and actions, which will come soon. We'll plan that soon. You want to write in the present tense, and a vision is not a goal and does not need a plan yet. So what values and passions matter most to you? For example, freedom, growth, health, mastery, contribution, family, and what impact do you want to have on others because you exist? If there were no limits, what would your ideal life look like? Where are you living? What are you working on? How do you feel on your days? For example, I live in complete time and location freedom, building long-term assets through KDP. And why is this vision meaningful to you? For example, alignment with your values, freedom, long-term impact, and reflect why KDP. For whom are you doing this? Take 10 minutes and write this down in your document, workbook, or on paper. If you're watching the replay, pause the video and take your time writing this down. Okay, let's continue. Now, every successful company has principles. Amazon has customer obsession. So what will yours be for 2026? Write down 3 core principles for your business. For example, data over feelings. I publish what the market demands, not what I think is beautiful. If the numbers, click or sales are poor, I change the book adverts instead of taking offense. Customer obsession, the customer is the top priority. The more satisfied the customer is, the better my book and brands will sell in the long term. Constant innovation, the business is constantly changing, so I always want to be at the cutting edge, constantly exchanging ideas with other experienced publishers and always testing the latest strategies. We don't let perfection become procrastination. I don't polish forever. I publish, collect data, and then optimize. Okay, let's take another 10 minutes and write this down in your document, workbook, or on paper. If you're watching the replay, pause the video and take your time writing this down.
Hey guys, I've read in the comments that people are needing less time than we thought for it. So I think we can reduce the time for these slides a little bit. But I think we can continue with the next one now. Or let me know in the chat if you think differently, if you need more time.
Okay, perhaps you can also share your principles in the chat. That would be great for people to draw inspiration from. So what are your core principles for your business in 2026? Let's move on to strategic goal setting. Now, before setting numbers, your goals must be believable to you. If you do not believe a goal is achievable, you will not act consistently on it. You want to set goals that stretch you, but that you can commit to executing. Use the SMART framework, so specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. And your goal should feel challenging yet realistic based on where you are today. So the outcome goal, for example, if we want to make $10,000 per month in profit, then we set the goal of having $20,000 per month in royalties as an example. So what would this require? $20,000 per month, let's say 25 books averaging $800 per month. Now you can go up or down with these numbers. And to achieve this, what must you commit to? So in this example, it's publishing 25 high quality books, so approximately 2 books per month. For example, mastering Amazon ads, weekly optimization, and a minimum of 1+ focused hour per week on ads, and maintaining high product quality, strong customer satisfaction. And let's say we have a target ratio for the reviews. So let's say 20+ 5-star reviews for every 1-star review, and continuous skill development. I might not fully know how to consistently reach $800 per book yet. Others are already doing this, which proves that it's achievable. So I commit to learning, testing, and improving until it becomes repeatable. Take 20 minutes and write this down in your document, workbook, or on paper. And I'm sure Tim will chip in here if you all need less time. Also, Tim, if you can read the chat, if someone has written their core principles, perhaps we can talk about that as well. And if you're watching the replay, pause the video and take your time writing this down.
Somebody said, number 1, radical organization. I can agree with that. I did try doing this from the beginning. It saves you a lot of headaches. Velocity over vanity, speed. And third, ruthless simplicity. It pretty much overlaps with my principles. What's most important to me, don't polish forever, publish and learn and practice. I think that's a very valuable phrase for beginners.
Yeah,
But
those
also
are
in
all
general.
great ones. Sometimes we tend to make things more complicated than they are. And why reinvent the wheel?
Okay, guys, I'm changing my camera back to a timer. If you want to see the remaining time, you can look at that. I set it to 15 minutes now. I would guess that we are quicker again. Maybe everybody who's finished, you can also write a quick message in the chat so we have a little overview.
Okay, have people shared their goals in the chat, Tim? If not, feel free to share your goals.
None have been shared in the chat yet. However, feel free to share them now or even speak up if you would like to.
Tim, Andre, maybe you can take the lead. What are your goals?
I see Adrian. Adrian said 30K per month, USD, 30 books averaging 1,000 per month. Sounds realistic. It's a good goal. Jeannie writes, I have a goal of 10K profit each month.
It's a solid number. All right.
I can also go. We can talk. We can also unmute 2 or 3 other people to talk about the goals before we continue.
All right.
I can start. Yeah, I have multiple projects going on, but for my main KDP account, for the main business, the goal would be to hit 300,000 in 1 month. So hit 120 this year in 1 month. So 3x would be the goal. I 5x from the year before, so that should be possible. Of course, it's a way bigger number now, and I have a great respect of that number. But still, I think it's achievable. It's not easy, of course, but I'm really looking forward to that. And for all the other projects, I also set goals. For example, we're working on a software together with a software developer for book writing, and there the goal we have is 1,000 members by the end of the year. And I guess that's maybe even harder to achieve than the 300K. But these are the 2 main projects my focus goes into this year. Yeah.
All right. Great goal.
And I can speak a little about my goals for this year.
Go ahead,
I will try to do $1 million in royalty this year with 40 to 50% net profit. That's the goal. So I will just double up from the last year.
It's amazing.
Very exciting goals. I also see in the chat somebody had the 150 to 200k exit by next year. I think I also know some other publishers who are planning to exit or like building to exit. So I think it's an interesting goal. All the goals sound interesting to me. I can maybe share my outcome goal. I think those of you who watch the YouTube series with me, they already know. But I have the crazy goal to hit a 1 million month this year, Q4. And how I try to do it is heavily leverage TikTok on a big scale, and AI and TikTok. I think it's possible. It's a crazy 10x, 100x goal I'm setting there, but yeah, we will see what this year brings.
Yeah, very interesting. Anyone else that would like to speak up before we move on? All right, then we can move on to the next section. Feel free to be active in the chat, continue to share your...
Sorry, I did want to come in, sorry, if I can, just very, very briefly and quickly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I've done, what have I done? I've done 3 books, so they're not, I mean, anyway, I do, what do you call it, high content books, they're history books. And I started this year, last year, so that's 25. So this is the end of my first year. I managed to get myself on the BBC in relation to my first book, so that was quite good. But my goal for this year is to be earning 100 quid a month. If I was earning 100 quid a month, I'd be happy.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else that would like to share? All right, then we move on to identifying and resolving bottlenecks. So here we want to map the publishing business. So think about the workflow. It's niche research, then we create the titles, potentially outsourcing, or you create the book yourself. So the book production, cover design, launch strategy, reviews, Amazon ads, Facebook ads potentially, and then brand building for advanced publishers. So here we see a visual showing how much is put into each one as examples. Now, we want to identify weak points. So where is the process breaking down or slowing you down? So possible reasons could be lack of time, lack of money, lack of knowledge. And if the bottleneck is time, what can you eliminate or reduce? So think about this. What can you do? Perhaps you can outsource something in your personal life. Perhaps you can automate something. Get an automatic lawnmower or vacuum cleaner or something. And where are you wasting your time? For example, the example I said in the beginning, that we're spending time in places where we're not appreciated. That could be considered probably a waste of time. You could be using that time that you're not getting anything from, or that is not important for you. You can use it to work on your publishing business. What can be delegated or automated? Can you work faster with better systems? Is this actually a time problem, or is it a knowledge problem? So just as an example, I gave you a few examples, just thinking beyond the box. How can you get more time? I know one extreme example from Andre was, I sleep less, then I get more time. That's not sustainable long term, but it proves the point that if we really want more time, we can find ways to do it. Now, if the bottleneck is money, where is your money currently going? Where does money create the highest return? Can you temporarily earn more to fund growth? Can you reach the same result with less spend? Is this actually a knowledge problem? So the same thing here. If you know how to make more money, then you can or generate money or get money to fund you. I know some publishers, they found creative ways to still grow despite having money as their bottleneck. And if the bottleneck is knowledge, where can you get reliable, proven information? Who do you trust? Are you consuming content or you're transforming behavior? Meaning that after you watch the content, are you doing something differently or are you just entertaining yourself? Does it make sense to invest in advanced education or rooms with serious publishers? Take 15 minutes, or Tim will decide, and write this down in your document, workbook, or paper. If you're watching the replay, pause the video and take your time writing this down.
I'm not sure if we had enough time on the previous slide. Here we can go one back.
Okay.
Do the self-assessment for maybe 3 minutes. That should be enough. So each of these boxes or pillars that you see, rate yourself from 1 to 10. 1 is like you're completely bad at it. That's the biggest bottleneck of your business. And 10 is like it's the easiest thing on earth for you to do. Do the self-assessment. I think 3 minutes are enough. And then we can go to the next folder. So everybody is on the same page.
Yes. So if you're just starting out, niche research is usually where the most attention goes. But if you already have that down, then perhaps it's Amazon ads, perhaps it's the cover creation, that your cover is not good enough. Do you know if your cover is good enough? And as much as possible, you want to figure out, why is my book not selling? If you're not getting impressions on your ads, then perhaps your niche is not the best one, or your cover is not the best one. So try to figure out where in the process are you stuck currently.
Also, I have put my camera into a timer again. Once this timer reaches about 3-4 minutes, we're gonna switch to the next slide.
We'll briefly share my thoughts here as we move on to the next slide. But as I mentioned in the beginning, you want to focus on niche research. Now, if you've already published a few books, but you're not seeing any traction for your specific book, could it be the positioning? Are you creating books that are already on the market? Are you given a clear reason for your target audience to buy your book? Now, for advanced publishers, sometimes we see that they have issues finding someone who can create the book, for example, as good as they can create the book, or outsource part of the work, whether that is with AI or outsource to a freelancer. So perhaps you can implement some sort of AI workflow. You make the AI workflow yourself and then you outsource. Is the book production the bottleneck? Could be. For many publishers it is. For some it's the cover creation. For some it will be that you try to create the cover yourself. Now with AI, my thoughts have changed. I think you can create a cover yourself with AI, but you want to make sure you know what is a good cover, so you're able to judge. The launch strategy, for example, are you getting reviews? What's your Amazon ads strategy like? There are a lot of publishers, me included, who have implemented some small changes in the Amazon ads, which, especially if you're an advanced publisher, can have huge impact. So that is something worth considering. Facebook ads is something that Andre is big into, and I know he is into brand building as well. I'm into brand building. A lot of advanced publishers are into brand building to get the compound effect. So if you're advanced, brand building might be the next step. But if you're a beginner, I would focus more on the niche research positioning. Publishing is a very step-by-step process, so there's no point in trying to solve for step 7 when you're on step 1. So just take it step by step. So here is the next one. Identify your weak points. one thing I would like you to consider that could be a bottleneck as well is your belief. So, do you believe enough that publishing works and that it's possible? And we have, as much as possible with the interviews, aim to show you that it is possible, and that I've often said that if you know, or if you can figure out what the top publishers do, and you do that, not copy of course, but you model the patterns, and you do that over and over again, and you do it consistently, you stay in the game, as we've talked about, then in my head, it makes sense that eventually you will get similar results. Now, we're all on our own journey, so we do not compare ourselves with others, but in terms of what is possible, I think that's a good way to break limiting beliefs. And then also, what systems do we have in our daily life? So instead of relying on willpower, how can we set things up in a way where we go to the computer and the first thing we see is not 10, 20 tabs or YouTube being opened or another social media app. The only thing we see is the work which we have determined to be a big rock, which is something we will come to now. The only thing we see on our screen is the task that we have deemed the most important task for today. And that should already be defined before we start the day. So we do not just start the day and then check emails or check sales. We have a very specific task that we're working on, and then we remove the distractions. And that is often the phone, and it's often different tabs. Perhaps it's people calling us, perhaps it's something else. The door is ringing. So think about how you can set things up in a system. And waking up early, that is one system that can work. It works for many people to get focused work, but it's good to think about that as well. So now we go into the next one, which is identifying the big rocks. So these are the high impact tasks that directly remove constraints and move your business forward. So what are big rocks? Big rocks are tasks that make the boat go faster by fixing bottlenecks. So making the boat go faster, that means that you are working on something that is actively growing your business. You are not just checking Publisher Champ or responding to emails or reacting to the day. You are making a very deliberate choice to work on something specific. That can be creating a book, because we are in the publishing business, and believe it or not, the thing that is a big determinant of how much money we will make is how many books we have published. Now, that's not the only equation, because many people have published hundreds of books. We've seen extreme examples, I think even beyond 1,000, and they barely make nothing. So it's not just publishing books. It's publishing books times the right way, or you could say the best books or unique books, or with some sort of reason for the buyer to select your book and to buy your book. Now, many people are creative and they have that as a strength. For others, it's finding patterns. So aim to find what works for you. So big rocks are tasks such as niche research, if demand is the bottleneck. And demand, we have in the free school course, we have lessons on niche research. So this is often a bottleneck for many beginners. The extreme example is authors that spend a year writing a book only to publish it and realize that there is no demand for what they've created. Implementing a new Amazon Ads strategy if traffic or profitability is the bottleneck. So if you have a great book, we of course want as many people as possible to see the book. Now, how do we do that most effectively? Amazon Ads is a big thing, and it's something that I thought I'd mastered pretty well, but there are levels to Amazon Ads. Finding or testing a new cover designer if conversion is the bottleneck. So be honest, sometimes we are too loyal to our team, but if we've given feedback over and over again and we're not seeing improvement, then we have to do what is best for the business and the team as a whole, and sometimes that means letting someone go if they cannot meet the standard which is required. And the 2020 standard doesn't work in 2025. The 2025 covers or 2026 covers are way better than the 2020 covers, and the 2030 covers are going to be even better than 2026 covers. So you want to think, how can you have a cover that stands the test of time? Improving systems, workflows, or outsourcing if time is the bottleneck. And then weekly focus. So this is something I do every week. I've been doing it for, I believe, 10 years. So you select 1 to 4 big rocks each week. And you can select even more if the size of the tasks are fairly small. So let's say they only take 1 hour or 2 hours each to complete. And feel free to select more if they are important. But sometimes, some weeks, it might just be one task. And that's okay, because that task might be of big importance and it might be a very big task. So take 5 minutes and write this down. If you're watching the replay, press pause.
We have no shares yet for the big rocks. However, we have some interesting shares for the bottleneck.
Okay.
Somebody mentioned, wait 1 second. Chat is a little bit chaotic because of the incident. Bottleneck. I don't like to get in front of camera to create content, so I'm considering outsourcing UGC, basically not leveraging TikTok and Facebook because of it. What I can recommend here is outsourcing the UGC to Fiverr. A lot of cheap UGC creators are on Fiverr, but also AI UGC has come pretty far. A tool there for AI UGC I can recommend is heygen.com. Also put it in the chat. Let's see if somebody shared a big rock. Bottleneck time, improve systems, workflows, and outsourcing. Very important for the scaling process. My big rocks, Facebook ads, improving systems, workflows, or outsourcing. By Jeannie. Jeannie, I think what you mentioned there are really, really important things. You can find everything in DPE. I know that you're a member. Not entirely sure what my big rocks are, but for 2 releases a month, I don't have a network outside of Book Bounty yet. So I am working on building the email list and so on. Yeah, organic email list for reviews is ultimate goal. Identify tasks which can be outsourced, find reliable freelancers, build systems and workflows, and niche research. Nice to see you here, Timo. Large stones, time management to accomplish more, giving freelancers more responsibility, and building better systems so that more can happen without me. Very wise. I see a lot of bottlenecks or goals overlapping. Identifying the big rocks, the key activities that will move my business forward the fastest are identifying profitable niches with strong market demand, find reliable freelancers, high quality work, fair prices, learn and build key systems myself to reduce outsourcing.
That's a great one.
Cost maybe also, lower costs and increase efficiency. I see a lot of people I think are influenced by your teachings, Peter.
It's great to see.
Big rock, procrastination, and shiny object syndrome. I can feel that also.
Yeah.
Okay.
That one is such a big one, because there will be some people who are starting publishing this year who will get a shiny object syndrome thrown at them, whether it's drop shipping, affiliate marketing. And my question would be, why pursue something which is proven to work, unless you are addicted to getting faster results? Because that's the only thing with publishing. We get paid 60 days later. we plant the seeds first and then we reap the rewards. We are more like farmers, but that should be seen as a good thing, that there's a barrier of entry. If you think about drop shipping, you see these millions of dollars, but how much is the profit? It's very much lower. And I would say that I was in the sauna earlier. There were some Norwegians that had success with drop shipping, but just like anything, they'd been doing it for 5 years. If you've been doing publishing and you've been doing it for 1 year or longer, why consider changing business models and starting from level 0? It makes more sense to just continue to compound and go from level 10 to level 20 and so on. So after 10 years, I've yet to find something better than publishing. So my big encouragement is to focus. All right, let's move on to the ideal week. So what would your ideal week look like, and a realistic week? So what do you need to do to reach your goals? There are some examples here on the screen of the full-time publisher. Morning routine at 7 to 8, 8 to 12, deep work. So again, what I mentioned before, in the beginning of the day, when you have the most energy, for some people it might be at night, but for most people it's in the beginning of the day. Focus on the core task which will move your business forward. So if you can commit to that this year, make that your yearly promise to just plan the day before, and then start the day with the most important task, you would be surprised with how much further you will get this year compared to last year's. So as much as possible, we want to remove randomized work, and we really want to value each minute, and especially each minute in the morning, because that's when we can really focus and do our best work. 12 to 13, lunch. 13 to 16, so 1 to 4, second work session. 4 to 6, team calls / optimization. 6 to 7, learning / strategy. I would also lean on putting learning towards the end, unless I'm in the beginning of the day or beginning in my journey, then I might put it as a priority, a top priority. But usually learning doesn't require as much energy. Tuesday to Friday, similar structure with different priorities. And if you're a part-time publisher, you have a 9 to 5 job, for example, 6:30 to 7:30, morning routine plus learning. Can you put some videos in the background as you're getting ready or as you're driving in the car, of course, safely, but listening, consuming information is good. Brian Tracy says that 1 hour of study of your field per day will make you, I believe, a national authority within 5 years. So 5 years, a lot of things can happen in 5 years. A lot of things can happen in 2 years. Just look at Andre. He passed his first 100K month. And Ian also crossed 100K, Tim 50K. We have so many publishers crossing record numbers, which was unheard of 5-7 years ago when I was in their position. Focused publishing work from 6 to 8, one clearly defined task per evening. Saturday 9 to 1, a deep work session. Sunday weekly planning plus light learning. So every Sunday, still to this day, I've been doing it for 10 years. I always plan the week, and that is something that is very helpful. So for the week, I plan, like I mentioned, 1 to 4 core tasks, big rocks, and then I plant those in the beginning of the day. And then, of course, we have emails, perhaps we have messages that needs to be responding, but we don't do that during our focused working session. We do that when our energy is a little bit lower and we don't need as much energy for those more managing tasks, such as and write your ideal week. If you're watching the replay, press the pause. Okay, that will be the end. Now you all have something tangible, and I would say that you've done something that most people, most publishers will not do for this year, and I believe that this is, like I said in the beginning, it's the most important thing you can do for your publishing business, because if you don't know where you're going, if you don't have a plan, then how are you going to get there? So I've not seen a publisher that hasn't set goal and that doesn't have a plan accidentally end up getting good results. All the publishers I've seen that have taken off, they all have this in place. So now you have this foundational piece in place as well. And the next step is, of course, to act on everything that you've written down. And as much as possible, I would encourage you to think, how can you set this up in a system? How can you decrease the amount that you need to rely on willpower and instead just, for example, have the running shoes next to your bed when you wake up in the morning, as an example. So think in that way. I took the example of starting the working day without tabs on the computer, without your phone, obviously, things like that. So see this as something serious. So if you were going to a normal job, you wouldn't be texting on your phone, you wouldn't be checking other things, you would be focused. So if you're starting a brick and mortar business, think of it like that. You would take this serious. So take it serious and you will get serious results. Now, I know that Gerald is here with us. Do you want to share something with us, Gerald?